Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome back. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered bi-weekly college baseball show. As always, I'm Chris Phillips. I'm joined by Harrison Fant, who is back in the fold. Excited to be joined by Harrison once again. And again, guys, we have got a jam-packed show for you here on this Thursday, April the 17th, as we talk all things midweek. And, of course, this upcoming weekend, conference weekend number 6, is officially upon us, and the race to the SEC regular season title, to securing hosting bids, national seeds, postseason hopes and dreams, it continues to heat up. We're excited to break it all down, talk about it with each and every single one of you guys. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast. Or if you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets. Hey, another electric midweek is in the books, and conference weekend number 6 is officially upon us, as virtually every series gets going tonight here on this Thursday. It is Easter weekend. Tons of baseball Thursday through Saturday. We do have 2 of the 8 series, still the traditional Friday through Sunday, but still a lot to break down, lots to get into. We're going to do exactly that. We're going to drop our predictions as well as we do each and every single week. Once again, this is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered bi-weekly college baseball show, the best college baseball show on the internet. I am Chris Phillips, as always, and I'm joined by my good friend, my co-host, my colleague, who's officially back in the fold after working one of the most memorable masters of all time, Harrison Fant. Harrison, what's up, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you being back, and I'm excited to have you back.
Good to be back, Chris. And, man, what an incredible Masters we had. You get Rory, finally completing the Grand Slam, and doing it after blowing it on 18, going to a playoff, which we hadn't had in a long time. And then, Justin Rose, a veteran as well, and just a huge golf name that's, been around the game for so long. And to go to a playoff and win it there, and unbelievable. Long week, but a incredible week of work. And I worked about 100 hours, at least 90, probably closer to 100, pushing it, doing 14-hour days. But so much fun. Got to watch so much golf. Got to probably watch a couple hours on Sunday for sure, too. And enjoyed that, seeing Rory and whatnot. So the Masters low, kind of the depression after that hit for sure. But, glad to be back covering college baseball. Was in the ballpark on a Tuesday for a midweek, Chris, because midweeks matter. I was at a midweek 2 days after working 100 hours. So that's how excited, I am for college baseball, let alone the SEC, the best conference in college baseball.
Yeah, you were at the most electric midweek, Harrison, I might argue. And it's funny enough, I'm now picking up the mantle that you so kindly passed to me as the one being at a golf tournament, being down here in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, going out to the RBC Heritage. Now back-to-back days.
I wish I was out there.
The SEC Unfiltered baseball boys also holding it down on the golf course. Who would have thunk it? But like you mentioned, Harrison, let's talk about this midweek. A lot to get into. And again, I want to sort of let you set the stage and paint the picture for us, because the most notable midweek game, I would argue, was the game there at Truist Park, there in Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Braves, Georgia Tech. Phenomenal rivalry showdown. These two teams obviously having really successful seasons. You're very, very familiar with Georgia Tech being on the call for the Yellow Jackets. You and I both obviously following Georgia this historic season. They're having Dogs get the win 5-2. Talk about your experience. Again, it's a ballpark you and I both, but especially you, are very, very familiar with. I'm sure that was cool, obviously, being back in the friendly confines, being on the field and taking in what was a great baseball game. Again, Dogs use a 2-run first inning, 3-run fourth, and the pitching holds Georgia Tech at bay to get a big 5-2 win.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing for me. It was just, you get out to a 2-0 lead, and it was a game in which I was wondering, how are both teams going to manage the pitching arsenal side of it, the bullpens, who's going to go, how long they're going to go, because of just the style in which Georgia's been doing that this season as a whole, let alone a midweek game, let alone a rivalry game, let alone you're playing in a major league ballpark on a Tuesday. And we know Georgia's schedule. Auburn came over to Georgia Tech last Tuesday. And then they had, an ACC series. Georgia's playing Georgia Tech, and then they got an SEC series, and then they have Clemson next Tuesday. So it's like, how are both of these teams going to kind of approach this from a pitching standpoint was my biggest, I don't want to say concern, but biggest kind of underwritten storyline, because everyone's talking about the bats of Georgia, and just Georgia Tech had this phenomenal season, Danny Hall's last season. But you got to a 2-0 lead in the first is huge to do in the ballpark like this. Also, on the offensive side, wondering, is Georgia's offense going to be able to play in a big league ballpark? Because Foley Field is not that big of a ballpark. I'm going to say it again. It's not, especially when you compare it to a major league ballpark. But nevertheless, the biggest thing for me, Chris, was that, the offense for Georgia, and I was sitting with Diamondback scouts right behind home plate and talking to some White Sox scouts later. And Georgia's offense, they're so aggressive in the zone, and their plate discipline proved to be very consistent this entire season, but very consistent this game, just not chasing pitches out of zone and not missing mistake pitches is what I told the Diamondback scouts. He goes, yeah, honestly, that's really true. Like, they just don't miss mistake pitches, right? And you see all these hanging breaking balls that they hit throughout the year. I mean, they did so in this game, but it was funny because, Major League Baseball plays with wood bats and college baseball plays with metal. The bats were just echoing through the stadium, which is how hard the ball was hit. It was just barreling. It felt like, I'd say 3/4 of the ball were getting hit over shortstop. There was a misplay in left field by Georgia Tech by Caleb Daniel. It was a really fun game to watch, even though it wasn't like competitively close and back and forth nail biter the entire game. But then, Georgia had a couple balls that got out of the park. I mean, 2 of them were wall scrapers. I'm going to say that. 2 of them, one went almost into the chop house. So I'll say that for sure. But Georgia did a really good job of just hitting, I'd say, throughout the game, but also hitting with runners on. They did a really good job of hitting with guys on second base and just getting them in because they're just blasting the ball into play, right? And some out of play with home runs. But Georgia Tech just really couldn't string any hits together throughout the game. You have a couple, a run in the third and fourth, but Georgia goes basically a bullpen game, just Johnny Holstaffs it, and it worked. I mean, everyone went 1 inning. I thought JT Quinn should have gone a little bit longer. I know he's at 21 pitches, but Alton Davis the second, came out of the bullpen, went 1 out, 1 hit, but I 11 pitches. I was hoping to see him longer. I know the scouts were too. He's an electric arm, but obviously his ERA and stats aren't there. But I mean, certain guys did really well. And I think talking to Wes Johnson after the game, it was just, this is kind of the, you want to play in a big league ballpark. You want to play in the big leagues. This is what that's like, playing in this ballpark, playing in an SEC and teams like Georgia Tech as well, not in the SEC. Week in and week out, there are no breaks. There's no stopping. And he said that just being able to do that and guys stepping up. And I asked him about the confidence that this pitching staff has gotten week over week, throughout this season, playing against, the gauntlet of the SEC and then great midweeks as well. Now at this point in the season, he goes, it's really just built a lot of confidence in the guys. They, are owning their craft and, just nailing, anchoring down when they go out there, just being confident in their stuff. And so that was the biggest thing. And I think the reason why Georgia ended up winning this game was just, accumulation of all those things.
Mm-hmm. I think makes Georgia so dangerous moving forward. They're starting to win in different ways, use the pitching to win. We know about the offense, but to build off the momentum of the Arkansas series weekend, you get the big walk-off on Sunday, you take 2 or 3, which is a massive series victory. And then, again, midweeks matter, especially when they're against your arch rival, against a really good team in Georgia Tech. It's going to be a postseason team. If they continue, they're probably going to be a hosting team as well. I mean, you talk about the schedule they've got upcoming, so it's impressive, man. I mean, what Georgia's doing is very, very – I mean, they keep making history with every dub. I mean, best start in school history.
Yeah, and Chris, I mean, I'll mention that even, like, Wes Johnson talked about, how important this rivalry is in the series, obviously beating Georgia Tech, but to do so, top 15 team at the major league ballpark in the state where both of them play, huge. And I think a lot of the guys don't take that lightly. And talking to Alton Davis after, Chris, you're going to want to listen to this. Obviously transferred from Alabama. He said it's neck and neck. He said, I think it's better than the Alabama-Auburn rivalry on the diamond. He goes, because this is his first year, and he goes, the intensity. He goes, I didn't really know what to expect. Everything. He goes, yeah, it's definitely up there. It's a little better.
I just wish we could get it in a weekend series. That's the only thing I say. I wish we could get this in a weekend series.
Same with Florida State. Wish we could get that weekend series.
I do. I mean, I do. Listen, I do love because they play Atlanta, Athens, and then Atlanta,
home
right?
Away.
Yeah,
home neutral. Yeah.
Yeah, we need it kind of like the South Carolina Clemson series, where we do Athens on a Friday night, Atlanta, like Truist on a Saturday, and then
you got to schedule that when they're away too. Yeah, but no, I agree. That would be awesome. I mean, you talk about Saturday night, that place. Well, Chris, also, this is a top 15 matchup, and I need to state this on here because it's important. This is a top 15 matchup, a rivalry game in the Deep South against in one of the best baseball recruiting states in the country, top 3 at minimum, against 2 top 15 teams, rivalry, and you're playing at a major league ballpark, the Atlanta Braves ballpark, and this game is not broadcasted anywhere. Like the audacity, like the like, college players that make money, ESPN, whatnot. Like, who cares? You need to pick up this game.
Was it on one of the plus? Was it on like ESPN Plus?
It wasn't on air anywhere.
Nothing.
Anywhere. You couldn't watch it anywhere.
Wow.
And it's
I thought it was more. I saw the people complaining. I thought they were more complaining about it wasn't broadcast like on SEC Network. So it wasn't even streaming.
No.
Nothing.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Nope.
That's insane.
Which I don't understand is because apparently when I found out, I talked to Matt Taylor, Georgia Tech's pitching coach too, and he goes, "Hey man, what's up?" He goes, "Crazy, this game's not on TV," and I was like, "Yeah," but what I found out was that when the Braves go on the road, like they take their cameras down, so like since it's technically, because I was hoping to be on the call for it and talking to Georgia Tech side of it, since it's technically a Georgia home game, they were the home team in this, right? Being batting second, and they would have to facilitate that in, I think, trucks, operations rooms, production rooms and cameras, everything, facilitate that. They would have to, it seems, take care of all of that with the Braves, being on the road, having their cameras taken out. It's just too big of a feat. And I guess not worth the investment or money, and blame ESPN, blame SEC Network, whatever it is, because then it would be on SEC Network. Right. But I just don't understand that, let alone I was in the press box and down right behind the field, right behind home plate. And, they're showing some high home replays. And then I go in the press box. There is a center field camera. It's on radio, though, but there's a center field. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, throwback when we had to listen to games on radio.
I'm not saying, you have to broadcast every mid-major or midweek game.
Yeah.
And I know it's a neutral site, but of all neutral sites, of all mid-major games, what are we doing?
I mean, we get games broadcasted and streamed at minor league ballparks. So you would think at a major league park. I will say that's probably the biggest area of opportunity, not to turn this into a, how can we fix some of the things that need fixing within college baseball. But you'll notice like the games that are televised are set all before the season. We need to be able to adjust and change and you know what I mean? Like,
well, no, I think it needs to be at minimum a conversation with Georgia, because they're a home team situation, in the Braves saying, hey, can we use y'all's cameras and, production rooms and, the other technology that we need to, like.
Yeah, there's no reason for that not to happen.
There is zero excuse for this game to not be broadcast at all.
Yeah. Well, that being said, Georgia gets the big win, Harrison. How was the crowd, by the way?
So funny enough, I was in the booth in the press box when he announced it. There's exactly 15,000 fans.
15,000 on the nose.
15,000 for a Tuesday night.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
And it was loud, Chris.
It would have been disappointing if it wasn't well attended. So
yeah, but it was loud.
Good for Tech and Dog fans, but yeah, that's a fun one, man. At the Braves team, I'm glad there's some good baseball being played.
Maybe there's more fans there because you couldn't watch it on TV.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I was gonna say I'm glad there's some good baseball being played there this season, because unfortunately the Atlanta Braves are not holding up their end of the bargain. That's a different conversation for a different day. Again, that being said, Harrison, you were at the best midweek. Some other notables: Aggies, they win their 7th straight. All of a sudden, they're heating up. Oklahoma run rules. Oklahoma State went to Okie State and did that, by the way, on their field. Vandy beat Lipscomb in 10 innings. Ole Miss, the lone loser in the SEC on Tuesday night, they fall to Little Rock in a game that it was Kids Day. How do you lose on Kids Day? They had this game at 11 a.m. Central or something like that.
They lost to the Kids on Kids Day.
And they lose to Little Rock 7-3, just kind of inexplicably. Again, everybody else for the most part, Harrison, rolls. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Alabama got a quality win over UAB. I'll give them credit, 5-3, and that ball game scored 2 in the bottom of the 7th to win that game. Really cool moment in Austin when Texas and UT Rio Grande Valley played each other. The Galvan brothers, I believe, linking up. That was really, really cool. You saw the picture in post game. Anything else here? Auburn beats Jacksonville State 4-3. Anything else stood out to you in the midweek game? We don't have to spend a ton of time on this because we did hit on the big one, but anything else of note in your mind from the midweek games?
Nothing really of note, but I think of not concern, but just frustrating is going to be the Ole Miss loss to Little Rock, just because of you shouldn't be losing to, almost the mindset that you shouldn't be losing to Little Rock. You shouldn't
Dude,
lose.
and by the way, the way it happened, you give up 2 runs in the 8th, 2 runs in the 9th. I mean,
yep, you lose. You're tied going to the 8th, and you give up 2 spot in each of the 8th and 9th inning, and it was on the backs of the freshmen in the bullpen. And well, not freshmen, sorry, the guys, the inexperienced guys in the bullpen, the young guys. I mean, giving up just all the runs, and it was a freshman, I think 1 or 2 freshmen, and then one was a sophomore. So all younger guys that still don't have a lot of innings, and it's just like these are opportunities for you to go up and step up and prove that you can, compete on the mound for an SEC team, and just struggle to do so. I mean, it was just cut death by 1,000 cuts. It was all in 3 singles to right field, all 3 of the runs, or all 4 of the runs. It was just super frustrating, to do that in the 8th and 9th at home against an inferior opponent. But, that's where you learn about the depth you have or the depth you don't have. And so almost kind of, this is why midweeks are important, because A, you get to play baseball, but B, you get to figure out your depth and guys and opportunities. Like we talked about early in the season with William Schmidt for LSU, and like he shoved a lot in midweek, and Jay Johnson goes, sorry, you're not going to see him in the midweek anymore. Like that's what the midweek's for. And so guys get opportunities to step up, and, we didn't have that for Ole Miss's younger bullpen guys that don't get a lot of innings. They didn't do that this time, and that's what cost them the game.
And to your point, Harrison, where you bring up depth, and I'm glad you did. We'll talk more about this when we get into conference weekend number 6 and preview and predict these, because I think we're getting into the point of the season where depth is really starting to show and is becoming even more important than it has been maybe before this point in the year. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say on another midweek note, I think Oklahoma's a good one to note, just because it's, you're playing a really, really competitive, good team in Oklahoma State. A big powerhouse team, and I say that because they are traditionally very good. They've hosted lots of regionals. I
was going to say I'm surprised how bad Oklahoma State is this year. They're 16-18 overall, 5-8 conference. Again, not taking anything away from Oklahoma. I'm just really surprised how. I mean, because we saw Okie State early in the year, opening weekend actually. I mean, I didn't think they were bad, but
and people thought they were going to be maybe a dark horse to go to Omaha and whatnot. And you got one of the best players in the country, and Nolan Schubart, who goes 0 in the game with 2 Ks. But I think it's important because for Oklahoma getting momentum. I think it's a rivalry game, obviously, but after the way that they lost to DBU the week before, Dallas Baptist, I think you had to go in there and take care of business. And did they do that? I mean, you put up a 5 spot in the first and then a 5 spot in the 8th to end it, basically. And it was on. I think Jackson Willis led the way. And you got everyone in the lineup producing. I think everyone but 2 guys got a hit in the lineup. But, I mean, you had the whole top half of the lineup doing their thing, producing, getting on base, RBIs. I mean, Sam Christensen, Jason Walk, had great games. Just on base, it felt like multiple times, just barreling and driving guys in. And then, the bullpen taking care of business because no one went more than 3 innings because James Hitt went 3 innings, but no one else after that. But around that went more than 2. So I don't want to say ho-hum, but very important to take care of business in that fashion against a team like that after how they lost to DBU and just kind of getting blown their doors off by DBU. Who don't take it for granted. Who is a very, very good major. They were my dark horse last season to go to Omaha. They might just be this year again. So we'll see.
Yeah,
and important, Chris, because they got a big slate coming up.
Yeah, they do. And of note as well, Harrison, before we turn the page of the weekend, all of a sudden, the Florida Gators, winners of 5 in a row. Texas A&M, winners of 7 in a row. So,
and someone on this show said that both of them were cooked. Someone on the show put a.
I'm not even ready to back off that. We'll talk about that more in a second. We got some pivotal series upcoming for them, no doubt, guys. Before we get into weekend number 6 in conference play in the SEC. I want to tell you about our friends here at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. We were talking the Atlanta Braves earlier. The wait is over. Baseball season is finally here, and you can start the season strong on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now FanDuel is celebrating the return of baseball by giving new customers $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to get in on the action, from hits to steals to home runs. They've got a lineup filled with all your favorite bets, or if pitching is more of your thing, FanDuel's got a deep bullpen of bets from strikeouts to shutout innings. So when you place your first bet, it can be on almost anything, and if it hits, you get $250 in bonus bets. Guys, listen, at this point, just take whoever the Braves are playing money line. You're going to get rich. I hate to say it, or maybe if you start to do that, they'll start to win. Either way, I don't care who you bet on. Just make sure when you do it, you visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partners of Major League Baseball. Must be 21 and up and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org. In Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Harrison, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into everything. Conference weekend number 6. What a slate we have. As again, Harrison, the SEC regular season title race really starts to heat up. Once again, it's another weekend to pad your resume, whether you're fighting for a national seed, you're fighting for a hosting bid, or you're just fighting to get into the postseason as a whole. Harrison, we got to start with the premier series of the weekend. And like we mentioned, normally, guys, we're starting, hey, let's knock out first the Thursday through Saturday, then we'll get to Friday through Sunday. Harrison, because we have Easter on Sunday, essentially every series, for the most part, is starting on Thursday night. And
as it should for the 1 week of the year.
As it should. And the series of the weekend, surprise, is where the number 1 team is playing, Austin, Texas, as the Texas Longhorns. All of a sudden, Harrison, Auburn coming to town. This is, again, all eyes on this one. I don't know if we expected this to be the headliner before the season started, but with the way Auburn, the way they've been playing of late, especially sweeping LSU last weekend at home, pitching was dominant. It's so many different guys in their lineup that have stepped up. They now try to do something, Harrison, that no one has been able to do this season. That is knock off Texas in a weekend series. Huge prove-it opportunity, obviously, for the Tigers, who I think, again, sweeping LSU at home, it was a great upset. I mean, I picked Auburn. I thought it really set up well for them. If you can go on the road and go to Austin and take 2 of 3, that's a different level of a statement for Butch Thompson's club. And first series is number 1 for the Texas Longhorns. We've had a lot of different number 1s, Harrison, this season. So how Texas responds to that, I don't know that it really matters for them, but it has just been interesting the way we've been kind of swapping out number 1s in the SEC. But bottom line is this, Harrison, it's good on good this weekend in Austin. I cannot wait to watch this one. Your thoughts and your pick for what should be a great weekend of baseball in the 40 acres.
Yeah, Chris, it's going to be an electric weekend, and I think you're going to see some star power from both teams, but I think it's going to be competitive in a sense of I think both teams are going to be able to swing it really well. It's going to come down to the pitching side of it for me, Chris, with, can Auburn's pitching staff step up again? I mean, it's going to be on the backs of, I think more so their bullpen, because their frontline starters don't go the length that, other guys do around the SEC. But you got Andres Alvarez,
Jared Spencer, and Sam Dutton.
Yeah, and Sam Dutton's been electric the past couple of weeks. And, just seeing him the length that he gives the team, let alone, stepping up when they need to. And I said, I think off the air to you, if they're going to, go deep this season, it's got to be in the backs of Sam Dutton. And it has been in the backs, I believe, of Sam Dutton going deep and, giving them quality starts and saving the bullpen, but also just, I guess, going out there and shoving against teams because, he's a senior. He's a kid from Alabama. He started at LSU. And then to go out there and pitch against LSU and go 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs against them in their home ballpark. And I was shocked when you picked Auburn to beat LSU. And kudos to you for that. So a little hat tip for that.
Hey, when they zig, I zag. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
well,
I will say this: the fact they swept was the shocker to me.
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised they won the series, but to sweep, that was what really jumped off the page. But
yeah. And Sam Dutton's done an incredible job this season of just keeping teams off balance, but also adding more length to his starts. He had a couple of starts in the middle of the season when he gave, more runs. He gave, 2 to Vanderbilt, 3 to Kentucky, 4 to Georgia. And then since then, playing LSU and the week before, Alabama shutting him down. Combined 13 innings, I think 5 hits, no runs, and 13 Ks, 4 walks. against two really good teams and a top 5 team, 2 top 15 teams. And so to do that against Texas now this weekend is going to be huge and monumental for them if they want to win the series, especially going up against a guy like Jared Spencer, who's done that all season long to every SEC team, it feels like. But then you have, guys around in there. I think who's going to have to step up is Andres Alvarez. You have a freshman from Florida, right? Seminole, Florida, who's pitched and now started in 2 back-to-back games against Alabama and LSU as well. And, just the depth he's going to need to give them is going to be huge. I mean, he has to give them depth. And that's in their, I think, Sunday role. It's, because Texas's frontline starters are better, longer, and more consistent in their outings. When you have Jared Spencer, you have Luke Harrison, and you have Ruga Rojas, who has jumped on the scene and burst on the scene and just really cemented a Sunday role and just been a consistent guy on a Sunday, which you don't get around the SEC that often. So seeing that and how that's going to work out, and Sam Dutton saving the bullpen early is going to be crucial for Auburn if they want to go in and compete with Texas, just like Georgia did. I mean, that we were wondering, it feels like a similar situation, just pitching wise, but Auburn has more depth on the front end pitching wise than Georgia. But when it comes to the bats, I mean, Auburn does have the advantage. I mean, they're batting at 300 as a team. Yeah, they're only hitting 46 home runs compared to Texas's 55, but I mean, they're top 50 in average. They're 61st in on-base percentage. They're 127th runs created plus, which is 72nd in the country. But you're playing at a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I mean, I'm not going to say playing some ballparks hitter-friendly or pitcher-friendly. It's pretty neutral, I think. I mean, I've played on the field. I think it's pretty neutral, especially with the green monster they have in left. Now the seat's on top, which is really cool. But you're playing at Dish Falk, which is definitely a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And, you're going west. Going on the road in the SEC is not easy, Chris. I say it all the time. And sometimes I pick with it. Sometimes I pick against it, right? But I think just Texas just has enough juice that their pitching staff, the longevity they're going to get out of there, and then, their go-to guys of Dylan Valencia, Max Grubbs, and rest of the company there. I'm just so high on just how consistently they've played. Dylan Valencia looks like a 3rd, 4th year pitcher in the SEC and is able to pitch in multiple situations, multiple different ways, multiple games too in a weekend. And just Texas doesn't have the pop as much as other SEC teams, but they're creating 35% more runs than the average team, which is 45th in the country. Mm-hmm. They're batting 287, so like not bad as a team, and 55 homers. I think Texas finds a way again, Chris. Finds a way. They force Auburn to go to the bullpen. Maybe it's game 2, but that kind of affects game 3 as well. But I think they find a way to do so and win this series, another top 25 series at home at Dish Falk in front of a sold-out crowd. And I'm rolling with the horns. Because I think they find a way. I said it a past week against LSU and against Georgia in 2 really, really competitive series. They're just proven these series, I think, a little bit more than Auburn. The guys in these situations, for me, have been more consistent at a higher level throughout the season. Rocking with the horns at home.
Spoiler, you're going to hear Harrison and I agree a lot today. I'm a little scared how much a lot of us are agreeing going in the weekend. That normally leads to chaos, but I
love this matchup, though. It's going to be really fun to watch.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. I mean, again, it's what makes it so much fun is that before the season, again, this wasn't one, I don't think we ranked this in our top 5 or maybe even like top 10 best series of the season, but it certainly turned out that way. I was really impressed, obviously, what Auburn did last weekend, sweeping LSU. I thought that was a big statement. The pitching staff dominated, I think, one of the better lineups in the SEC. I think asking them to do that again on the road against a Texas team that I'm kind of in the mindset, Harrison, right, wrong, or indifferent. Until somebody knocks them off, I mean, you got to roll with the horns, man. Like, I don't know that they're going to sweep, but I think they're going to find a way to get the series dub. Also for Auburn, big test for them. Only their 3rd SEC series, Harrison, on the road. Only their 4th for the entire season. They're 4-5 on the road this season, including a sweep at Georgia, to 2 of 3 against Kentucky. So this is another big road test, more similar to the Georgia side of things than the Kentucky side of things. And I would say, obviously, it's even more extreme because Dish Falk is much bigger than Foley Field. So you know Texas fans are going to show up, show out. How does Auburn respond to the adversity of being on the road? Cannot wait to watch that game 1 showdown, Jared Spencer, Sam Dutton. That's going to be, I think it's going to be just a classic game 1 in the SEC, 3-2, 2-1 kind of game. We'll see if it lives up to the hype. But bottom line is this: I agree with you. I think Texas finds a way, gets it on. The horns are hot, man. I know everybody outside of Austin keeps waiting on, because we say, everybody in this league gets punched in the face. Like, it happens at some point. Everybody's kind of waiting. Is it going to be this weekend? And you just keep waiting, and it hasn't happened. So I think you got to roll with Texas, man, in the meantime. I think they find a way.
And Chris, I don't be surprised. Watch Auburn go out there and win game 1. Watch Sam Dunn go out there and shove.
Yeah,
and, go toe-to-toe with Jared
I think it's a coin flip tonight. I really do. I think
he definitely has a chance to do that. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it all. But I think he's going to give this Texas lineup a lot of trouble, just his arsenal and how he approaches batters. But also, Ethan Mendoza's list is questionable. So maybe he hits, maybe he comes in pinch hits. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn goes there. Like, I'd say if I had to predict the series, Auburn wins game 1, Texas wins 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think Texas takes 2 of 3. I don't know which one they drop, but I agree with you. I do think Auburn will scratch out a game. Probably comes down to a rubber match. Our guy Jake McKeever also going with Texas. So clean sweep with us. We are all going with hook 'em horns.
Definitely watch Sunday when Andres Alvarez, if he's pitching on Sunday, goes, and how the freshman, if it's a rubber match on the road, fares.
Yeah. It's like you mentioned, we're getting to the point of the season. I think we are at the point. Depth is going to show itself. I agree with you. I think Texas just got a little bit more than Auburn, but Auburn making a statement last weekend. We'll see if they can do it for a second consecutive weekend. Speaking of making a statement, Texas A&M will try to do that when they go on the road to the Hog Pen down in Fayetteville. They take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas looking to bounce back, Harrison, from losing 2 of 3 in Athens, including that heartbreaker on Sunday when they got walked off. All of a sudden, like we mentioned, Harrison, A&M has won 7 in a row. Can they do the unthinkable and go into Fayetteville and steal this series? And like you mentioned, I said they were cooked a few weeks ago. I'll explain more in a second. I'm dipping my pinky toe in, but I'm not ready to pull the fork out yet. You take 2 or 3 this weekend, conversation might change. Conversation very well probably will change.
Is it? I thought it was. Is it at A&M or at Arkansas?
I believe it is at Arkansas, unless I missed it. I thought it was at Arkansas.
I think we should double check that.
Let me see. I believe it's at the Hog Pen.
Yeah, it's at Arkansas. Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
you're right. I should double check that because I didn't look.
I was like, gosh, I hope I didn't write down the wrong home team on the notes. Yeah, it's at.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. I just wanted to double check.
On the road
I think it's going to be. I mean, Texas A&M is not afraid of playing in front of big environments, in front of big crowds. Obviously, they have their own in Bluebell Park with. I mean, Aggie Nation is one of the best. I think maybe it's not the most historic or consistently, energized crowds like Woo Pig. I mean, because Fayetteville, the fans there, they love college.
The Hog Pen is going to be electric this weekend. The Hog Pen, it's going to be wild.
It's going to be a blast. I mean, Baumwalker, a stadium that I want to get to at some point. Help get Harrison to Baumwalker. Definitely see DBH, but we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for this series, Chris, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Does Texas A&M continue to have the juice that they have? Is their juice worth the squeeze? Can they keep it up? But I mean, you're going up against. Yes, they've won the games that they have had to and that needed to. But you're going up against one of the most powerful offensive lineups and pitching staffs in the country. I mean, I'll just read some Arkansas stats off that I think are just of some utmost importance. Top 5 in average. 331 is their average. They're 84 home runs this season. They're number 1 in OPS at 1,044. They're WRC plus. They're creating 76% more runs than the average team. That's number 1 in the country. Their pitching staff is a 3.73 ERA. That's 12th in the country. Their WHIP is a 1.15. That's 3rd in the country. I mean, it's crazy how consistently good they're playing on both sides of the ball. Yes, that means doesn't mean you're going to win every game or every series. We've seen that, I got walked off at Georgia, which, I mean, talk about a dagger. That one hurt me as a pick for sure. But I mean, I know that they have a bad little taste in their mouth from that, but I mean, then you got to play them on the road in their home ballpark, which I'd say is probably a little bit pitcher friendly. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's
right. But I mean, against that fan base, I mean, and I think it's obviously to say that A&M's backs are still against the wall. I think they're against the wall the entire rest of the season, no matter what. No, I mean, they could sweep here and still get backs against the wall, I think, because you never know what can happen. But I think you're going to have to see Texas A&M continue to play their best brand of baseball that they're playing recently. I mean, their last 7 games, they're batting .332 as a team. I mean, this whole season, they're batting .275. That's 155th ranked to 24th. The last 7 games, Chris. OPS is 4th in the country the last 7 games at just over 1,100. I mean, their weighted on base average is second in the country the past 7 games. I mean, their ERA is fine. It's a 4.58. That's 98th in the country. But I mean, top 16 WHIP. I mean, they're playing their best brand of baseball. What we expect to see them do coming into the season is just the talent that they've had that hasn't been able to click until it feels like a week and a half ago. But you're playing your best brand of baseball against an elite competition the rest of the season, it feels like. And with your backs against the wall, there is no opportunity to slip up, whether it's one error that leads to a run or 4 runs or just miscues on the base pass. They're going to have to play, I don't want to say perfect baseball, but close to that if they want to go in here to Fayetteville and take a series. And I just find that really hard to do and on the road in the SEC at an environment like this, Chris. So,
and with Arkansas looking to bounce back themselves.
Yeah, that bad taste in their mouth, Chris.
Right.
Give me Woo Pig. Woo Pig at home, going to Arkansas with this one. I just, the consistency factor and playing on the road in the SEC at a hostile environment against a team that's proven it all season long on both sides of the ball.
And I'll say this too, Harrison, because I'm also going with Arkansas. I think at home, I know a lot of Aggies fired up for this one, as they should be. The way A&M's played the last 7 games is something to be excited about. There is no question. I want to make this clear. Like, I don't even think if you're A&M to have a shot, because at this point it's make the postseason. I don't think we're talking about can A&M turn it around and get back into the hosting conversation. I think at this point, making the postseason would be a successful turnaround. If you can just win one, you don't have to even win the series, I think, to keep the hopes alive necessarily. You're sitting at 6-9 in SEC play, right? So as long as you don't get swept, I think you're fine. Obviously, if you win the series or God forbid you sweep, again, we'll have a different conversation next week. I'm not ready.
The conversation we would have if A&M sweeps.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Oh, it would. Yeah, we'd be having a very, very interesting conversation on Monday. But the bottom line is this. You took 2 of 3 from Tennessee. You had a great individual day in Knoxville.
And they've proven they can do that.
Right. On the road in Knoxville. You had a great individual day. You swept South Carolina. You had the theatrics and the dramatics, 2 grand slams and ending. That was great. Going on the road to Fayetteville, I think, is a different beast. I do. It's a different beast. I'm fascinated with Gabe Gackle, what he does in this series. He is just I think he's one of the keys for Arkansas. I think how he pitches is going to determine a lot of like how far and how deep I think they go, because this team is very, very good. But the curious case of Gabe Gackle and him just not being able to live up to the hype has been interesting. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think Arkansas on the home field, the depth of their lineup will shine through this week, and I think they're going to outslug the Aggies. And here's what I'll say, though. An immensely talented group, when they start to have some success and gain confidence, they become very, very dangerous. A&M is very dangerous. That's the way I would label them right now. It's a very, very dangerous club. But like I said, is the door now cracked open? I said a few weeks they were dead. They were finished. They were cooked after losing the Kentucky series. I would still say right now my fork is in A&M because of – this is why. Because it's like, okay, even if you get rolling, now you got to go to Fayetteville. You got to go to Georgia. You got to go to Texas. Like, they have all these series on the road. The gauntlet still awaits. But here's the thing for A&M. Just don't get swept this weekend. You still have Mizzou on the schedule, which should be a sweep, right? I think you can still get to that 13-win mark and find yourself in the postseason. But you cannot get swept on the road. That's the key. Anyways, going with Arkansas – I just still think I've got more confidence, like you mentioned, Harrison, in the Hogs to get it done at home than I have in A&M too. Again, this is just a different challenge they've had the last 2 weeks, in my opinion. Hog Pen will be rocking. I think Arkansas rides that wave of emotion to get the series done. And our guy, Jake McKeever, also going with Arkansas.
He's picking against A&M. Interesting. Now, I think for me, Chris, picks to click if A&M wants to win. If they are going to win, not wants to win, if they're going to win, it's got to be, you have to have a good quality start at minimum from Miles Patton. The struggles that he's had the past couple weeks, he got 7 runs to Kentucky, 3 runs to Tennessee on 8 hits. So obviously, I think that's a quality start for sure. But 7 runs and 4 innings to South Carolina, I mean, on 5 hits, like, he has to have a quality start to give you length to shut down this Arkansas lineup and save the bullpen a little bit. And then you can also put Cade Sorrell. I think, it comes down to him and can he continue to have the juices flowing through him and just how elite of a tear he's been on since coming back. And I think reviving this Aggie offense and Aggie team. I mean, I'm curious also to see if they're going to have the green jacket in the dugout again. They're going to have, just the putter or whatnot. But, and then on the Arkansas side, for me, pitcher, it's going to be down to Ben Bybee. I think I know Gabe Gackle is kind of the obvious pick, and I'll go Gabe Gackle as well, just because you have to have a good start from him. You have to. He's got a 6.69 ERA, and he can absolutely pitch like a guy with a 1.3 ERA. So you got to have a strong start from him. But Ben Bybee just continue to do what he does and dominates guys on the mound. Dominates guys when he's on the mound. I mean, a great strikeout to walk ratio. He's a shutdown guy on the mound. He's best ERA wise qualifying for them. But then offensively, I mean, if you could say how deep they are, and just, I mean, I'd say Brett Iredale. I mean, he's got a 279, 297 average, which is third to last of their qualifying hitters. But just adding depth in the lineup, if he can continue to do that, because you got 6 guys over 350 average. I mean, it's really just, I don't want to say the rags to riches of them from offense last season to this season, but just continue to add more depth is going to be the key for them. And, putting that pressure on Texas A&M's pitching staff, starters and relievers. So, and I see them doing that, Chris.
Yeah, again, A&M dangerous. I don't think dangerous enough to go into Fayetteville and get the series win. So we'll see, but I like Arkansas here, as we all do going into this weekend. Harrison, let's go to another pivotal series in the SEC, that being in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at Alex Box Stadium. LSU hosting Alabama. Both of these squads looking to bounce back. LSU obviously coming off, like we talked earlier, the series sweep at Auburn. That fan base, they don't take losing kindly down there on the Bayou. They were disgusted with the performance they saw over the weekend, especially from the Bats. And then Alabama, Harrison, where I was last weekend, I mean, just call it for what it is. Bad series loss at home to a Mississippi State team that had been struggling. Again, tip the cap to the Dogs, but I'm sure Bama looks at that and feels like they kind of let one get away. Zane Adams now in back-to-back starts has gotten roughed up. They are shaking up the pitching staff going into this weekend. Harrison, your thoughts on LSU, Alabama? Tiger Bats have got to wake up. Hey, if you want to see a group of people panic, like really panic, let LSU lose this series to Alabama this weekend, because the panic button will be hit. Your thoughts on what happens, how it plays out, who you picking?
Do you think the panic button's going to be hit if they lose the series?
Bro, I mean, they will panic if they lose a midweek. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, talk about last season. They panicked all season long, it felt like, I will say. But, I mean, I think this is going to be a really interesting game in series just because of how the pitching kind of lining up. It feels like Bama's going to go try to win games 2 and 3 a little bit more so than game 1. I mean, obviously, that's not the mindset, but that's what it looks like outside looking in. But, Chris, both teams have been struggling at the plate the past 7 games. I mean, Alabama's batting 246 as a team, LSU 263. Both of those are outside the top 195. Bama's batting, the rank is 238. LSU's 198th in the country, which means neither team's producing a lot of OPS as well, or weighted on base percentage. I mean, they're both outside of top 200 in OPS. I mean, the pitching staffs have struggled. For Alabama, LSU's 2.43 ERAs, top 12. Bama, which we talked about the struggles they have on the mound, the inconsistencies they have on the mound, and the concerns I've had throughout the season of it, right? Because they have guys going up and giving them, gutty, just, kind of sometimes quality starts with just gutty performances and just battling on the mound and just fighting and scratching and clawing to give their team a chance. They got a 6.34 ERA. It's 185th ranked in the past 7 games. It's just, that doesn't tell what the whole season is, but it tells how they're playing the brand of baseball they are right now, which is the most important thing. Because like the last year, if you could look at A&M's stats the entire season and, pick and poke at them, but like the last 7 games, they're playing like one of the best teams around, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how the offenses kind of play this weekend, just with the struggles they've had. We know how deep of a lineup LSU has and deep of a bench. Alabama has some uber talented players outside of Justin LeBron as well, but focus on Justin LeBron and just shutting him down is going to be huge for LSU. And both of them have a bad taste in your mouth. Like you said, Chris, you lose a series that you shouldn't probably against Mississippi State, who I said Mississippi State's not dead yet, Chris. Not dead yet. And I'm still frustrated I didn't pick Mississippi State, because I told you, I said, I want to pick Mississippi State in this. I don't know why, but I do. I think statistically they're better. That I'll have to eat that one for sure for the season for the pick 'em, but hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me at the end. But LSU, talk about bad taste in the mouth, Chris, as a program that they are, going on the road to Auburn and losing a series, but getting swept. I mean, it's going to be both of them have a bad taste in the mouth. They're going to be fighting and clawing. I think there's going to be a little bit of edginess in this one, Chris. Maybe, a tough slide through second or something like that or whatnot. But I'm excited to see that and just kind of how Alabama pitches against this lineup. I mean, yes, they're struggling, but every single one of them can do damage versus you. Jared Jones, Ethan Fry, Derek Uriel, Daniel Dickinson, Stephen Milam. I mean, Chris Stanfield, Jake Brown. I mean, the list goes on. Luis Hernandez. I mean, Josh Pearson. The list. Those are all guys batting over 300. That was like 9 guys I just listed. I mean, 6 of them have an OPS over 1,000. I mean, I think playing in the box at home, they're going to have some juices flowing. Micah Tiger is going to be not too far down the street. Maybe they get some juice from him, give him one of the bats, get some voodoo, something like that going. Anything wherever works in college baseball, Chris, we know that. It doesn't matter as long as it works, right? Mm-hmm. But I just think that LSU's depth of consistency as a whole, let alone this season on the mound, is going to play up to their advantage in this series because their bullpen is really good. I do like their bullpen. They've had to do some ups and downs, but you got guys in the back end that can slam the door, like Kason Evans, Kason Evans, and other guys around him, but just kind of primarily focusing on him. In the depth of the lineup, I don't see this lineup being down at all that much longer. They can't. They're way too talented. They've proved it this season against a lot of talented teams. And they're playing at home, Chris, in the box. Playing on the road in the SEC is tough, Chris. I'm riding with the home team again. I'm going LSU here in a big series for both teams, a really big series, I think. But I think Tigers come out on top.
Yeah, it feels like a must-win series for LSU to stay in the regular season title race. I'm also going to go
especially
LSU.
Chris, title race, but also for a super. You want to host a super?
Yeah, be a top 8 national seed. Alabama going with Tyler Fay tonight in Game 1 against Cade Anderson. Zane Adams getting bumped back to the Saturday start, effectively Game 3 this weekend. Riley Quick stays in Game 2. I respect Bama for making the move because I think you need to move. They needed to shake up the pitching rotation, but I think it'll be to LSU's benefit. I think the lineup's going to wake up at home. I don't see them back-to-back weekends. And give Auburn credit, but I think this is the thing that scares some LSU fans and scares me a little bit about LSU as we've seen the lineup at times this season go cold. I think also Cade Anderson, he didn't have his best stuff last week. I think he'll bounce back in a big way. We know what LSU's pitching staff's capable of. Again, the home-friendly confines, I think they're going to swing it a lot better. So I like LSU. It would not surprise me if LSU swept this weekend. Would not surprise me at all. So
interesting.
It wouldn't surprise me. At home, I think the sense of urgency will be there for the Tigers. Jake McKeever, by the way, he also is going with LSU. So all three of us have agreed on every pick to this point. Let's go to Nashville, Harrison. Vanderbilt and Georgia doing battle. Again, dogs are making history with every single win. The big question will be Vandy coming off the series loss at Oklahoma, the Vandy bats. I think that's always the question. Are they going to be able to keep up? I got to be honest with you, Harrison. I'll start with my pick. No surprise here. I like Georgia. I hate this matchup for Vanderbilt. It kind of reminds me when Arkansas went there. It's just, I won't be surprised if Vanderbilt's pitching staff does as good a job as they possibly can holding that Georgia lineup at bay. But, man, the way the dogs are swinging it, and now they're starting to win games in multiple ways. Pitching staff is really coming together. We'll see if they can top their longest outing by a starter, which was set last week by Leighton Finley at 5 2/3 innings pitched. But still, I think the dogs are going to go into Nashville, get a big series dub. I don't think Vandy's going to be able to keep up in this one.
Chris, I agree, and I'll keep it, kind of shorter and a little sweeter, but unless you're a Vanderbilt fan. But I just think that, Georgia's proven they can, they don't have to blow the doors off people by hitting the ball out of the ballpark all game, all series long to beat people. I mean, playing a Georgia Tech team, I know it's a midweek, you're not starting your best arms or, how the style of, strategies with that go. But you prove you can win a low-scoring game. They've done that multiple times this season now. And just how – now I think especially seeing Georgia play in person right behind home plate and watching it that way, how just mature approaches they have. They're a veteran lineup, it feels like. They're mature approaches at the plate. They do damage on pitches in different parts of the zone, and they don't miss mistake pitches. And it's just – a lot of people say good pitching beats good hitting. It's going to be tough, but I don't see that happening in this matchup in a sense of I think Georgia's offense is going to get to Vanderbilt's bullpen more so specifically because I think J.D. Thompson's going to have a great start, whether it's a little shorter or not. Cody Balker should have a really good start as well. I mean, they're both 9 starts. They're both proven it all season long. Connor Fennell, I think it will be interesting to see how he goes up against this Georgia lineup. and what that entails, and just, the length of starts they get from the starters and how good they go, because you need to save the bullpen. So that way, it's just Miller Green and Sawyer Hawks that hopefully can get you a win, if not two, if that's the way the game's going. But Georgia just so deep 1 through 9, and just the pitching getting better and better, and just how they're kind of approaching it. I mean, it's going to be tough. And we've seen all year, it's tough to hold this Georgia lineup down, especially with good pitching. Talked about it at Texas. We talked about it with other teams. And I just don't see it happening here in Nashville, even though they're on the road. I mean, they're creating this season 75% more runs than the average team. That's second in the country. I mean, they're 205th the last 7 games in hitting. That's Georgia with a 259 average. But they're still mashing the baseball and winning. That's winning multiple ways. I mean, they're 98th in OPS. I mean, they're just pitching a stepped up and able to win them games. And so Vanderbilt really struggling, I think, more so now the last 7 games than they have been this entire season hitting wise. I mean, they're 246th in average. I mean, that's 242, Chris. It's just not going to play, let alone not enough ground. I don't think they have enough pitching to overmask that and keep up with Georgia is the biggest thing for me. So with that, Dogs going to have a good time in Nashville, and I think they're going to come back with a series win with a chance maybe to sweep if they do well on Friday.
Yeah, I think, again, like I said, Harrison, I think it plays out very, very similar to how that Arkansas series played out. I expect Vandy to hang around, but to your point, it's just I don't know they got enough gas in the tank.
But expect a good mix of, low-scoring pitching battle, and then, some obviously offensive surges as well. So that's what I kind of like in a baseball game, is a little bit of both, a little bit of everything. So
Jake McKeever also going with Georgia. Yeah, of course. Jake going with Georgia. Harrison, before we go any further, I do want to make one correction, by the way, going back to the Arkansas A&M series. This isn't going to change our pick, obviously, but Gage Wood will go in game 2 in place of Gabe Gackle. So no Gabe Gackle in the weekend rotation, which could be good for him, I think, honestly, kind of reset. But it is Root, Wood, and Beetle cheese, however you say it, on Saturday. So I wanted to make that correction.
The click then.
Apologies to the
really talented.
Apologies to the Hog fans out there. Somehow I missed that, but it is Gage Wood in game 2.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't seen any of the starting rotations released yet. So I'll take that one.
Yeah, it's all good. Either way, same pick. Arkansas is going to get the job done. But Gage Wood, game 2. Interesting enough. Guys, before we go any further, we got 4 more series to dive into. Harrison, we got a new sponsor, a new partner. You see, I've got a new lid. Our friends over at Melon Hats. Yes, I'm a huge hat guy. As you know, I'm essentially wearing a hat almost every single show. I'm very picky in particular when it comes to my hats. Melon Hats, guys, are changing the game. If you wear the same hat over and over again, starts to smell, get sweat stains. Maybe it looks like Jay Johnson's hat, the same hat he's been wearing since they won the national championship. Get yourself a new lid. Get yourself a new hat. Guys, I've been wearing this out here at the beach, on the golf course. Saw this thing at Golf Galaxy. Shout out to them when I walked in. You can wear it working out. You can wear it around the house. You can wear it on the job. You can wear it at the beach. Wherever you want. On the golf course, doesn't matter. Melon Hats. Again, it's my new favorite hat. Honestly, I've been wearing this thing since I got it in the mail a few weeks ago. There's no sweat stains, no smells. It looks the same every single day as when I took it out of the box. Get this, Harrison. They have, whether it's warm out or cool out, they have 2 different styles. They have their hydro collection for when it's warm. That's what this is. So it's essentially, it feels like you almost have nothing on your head. Super lightweight. Or if it gets cold, need to stay warm, they got you covered there as well with their thermal collection. So there's different levels of warmth to keep you on the go, whether it's summer, winter. Changing the game. Yeah. If you're looking for a hat as tough as you, check out Melon. You won't wear anything else after you get one for yourself. Once again, guys, you're looking for the world's most durable hat. Look no further. Go to melon.com. That's melin.com. Put it to the test yourself. Again, melon.com, melin.com. Get you one today, and just make sure you tell them that Chris and Harrison over from SEC Unfiltered sent you. Harrison, I've actually got one of these. I've got to deliver it to you. I need to get your address and get it sent over. So you can test it for yourself, and you can test. So, yeah, we got one for our guy Harrison as well. All right, let's get in these last 4 series, Harrison. Let's go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee and Kentucky do battle. This is one that I think it's more of a rivalry in basketball. You see some of the bad blood in football certainly pop up from time to time. I mean, baseball last year, right? These 2 teams met each other. They were technically co-champs. I mean, Tennessee took the series, so do with that what you will. But Vols obviously getting a big series win, 2 of 3 at Ole Miss last week. Really emotional series. Kentucky went on the road to Texas, did steal one. There's just been a common theme, Harrison, with Kentucky. Whoever plays them, it is like the most miserable weekend of their entire lives. They're probably winning 2 of 3, but it's not fun to play Kentucky. That's been the theme. So I'm curious, can Kentucky put some pressure on Tennessee and kind of get under the skin of what is already a really like emotional, high-intensity ball club in the Vols? Also, specifically, can the Vols get Marcus Phillips back on track? Has not been great his last few outings. And even on Sunday last week, I mean, Tennessee kind of struggled on the mound. Tegan Coons was so-so. I know from the pitching side, past Liam Doyle, they're looking to get things going. But, Harrison, I'll spare the dramatics. I am going Tennessee. I think they will take advantage of being on the home field. I think they will handle the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky's such a weird club, Harrison, because I'm like, they're not great. They're also not awful. They play that unique style, kind of old school style of baseball. They're going to put pressure on you. They're going to force you in some mistakes. But I think Tennessee at home will get the job done. Your thoughts on the weekend on Rocky Top?
Yeah, I think it's a bit important weekend for Tennessee, not because it's a big matchup, but for getting guys back in the saddle of where they're used to being comfortable being and dominating. With that being said, Marcus Phillips, I mean, the arsenal, I've seen it from behind home plate, talk to the guy. I mean, his arsenal is one of the best in the country. I think he's got some of the best stuff in the country, arguably, and he's going to play the major league level for sure. I mean, he's just, I think, getting hit a little bit too much, leaving stuff over the zone and just not putting guys away in a head and counts, I guess, to simplify it, I guess, to try to. But, I mean, he's too talented for that to consistently happen. I mean, I know it's happened the last 2, you could argue 3 weeks with South Carolina, even though it was a quality start. It was 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 7 Ks, no walks. But against Texas A&M, I mean, going 4 2/3, 5 hits, 4 earned. And against Ole Miss, going 3 1/3, 4 hits, 5 runs, and just the walks in that game of 3 walks. But he's too talented for it to keep happening the rest of the season. He's played some tough teams. I think it's just, that kind of hiccup through late in the season. But I've got him getting back on track this week, Chris. I got him. I don't have any doubts with Frank Anderson and the pitching staff there, and the coaching staff there up in Knoxville. Big fans of them and just how they approach not only the game but the development of players, and the recruiting aspect is just unbelievable as a whole. But I mean, this is a team in which Kentucky's not going to blow you away offensively. They're going to get on base. They're going to move guys over, get them in, right? Whether that's pass ball, stolen bases, a lot of stolen bases, and I mean, they're top 2 in the SEC stolen bases, and they're going to try to, I don't want to say play small necessarily ball, but play smaller ball, because Kentucky doesn't like to hit, doesn't not like to hit the ball, but doesn't hit the ball and approach the game offensively like Tennessee does. It's just doubles and home runs, and the ability to do so throughout the lineup as a whole. But for me, it's going to be, can Kentucky limit the damage that Tennessee's offense is going to produce? Not that if they produce it, but they're going to produce, because you need guys like Nick McKay, you need guys like Nate Harris and Ben Cleaver to step up. I mean, you really do. Those are their 3 starters that are all sub 3.70 ERAs. I mean, Ben Cleaver's got a 2.87.
Cleaver was good last week too.
Cleaver was good last week. Yeah, and he's got a sub 1 whip, which is incredible. But if they can go out, and limit the damage and just go long in their outings, that's limiting how much bullpen they use, and be able to use their frontline relievers and guys, like Jackson Nove and Tommy Skelding and Simon Grezerson. They can have a chance, maybe. They really can, but they're going to have to play their brand of baseball and be successful at doing so, and, have to get to guys, because no one's really proven to get to Liam Doyle yet. Like, as a whole. I mean, there's been spots where he's got hit, whatnot, but no one's proven to be able to do that. But teams have gotten to Marcus Phillips and Tegan Coons, and I think he's one of the better Sunday guys, especially a young guy in the SEC. And, I think, opportunity for him to bounce back too here with his stuff and just, playing at home. I think obviously that helps too. And I just think that they're way too strong on all fronts of the game to lose this series. I know everyone said that with the A&M series. Don't get me wrong. Everyone said that. I mean, how many people said they were going to sweep A&M? I mean,
Kentucky doesn't have the upside though.
That's what I was going. Kentucky doesn't have the upside or the talent that can shake the house, rock the boat, whatever you want to call it. That A&M has, and maybe that was what the spark was for A&M. It's just playing against the team that you lost to in a national championship game, right, in a series. And I think the upside, the ceiling for Kentucky is not as high as it is for A&M, but the floor, the floor is obviously higher, but I think it's going to be an interesting battle. And I think it's going to be, maybe people can be like, oh, Tennessee's losing, they're losing, maybe game 2, it's going to be a rubber match game 3, but like it could happen. But I definitely think Tennessee takes care of business at home at Lindsey Nelson. They're comfortable there. That's where they're dominant outside of, a game and a half, against A&M. And I think they come away with a series win. And I think guys really step up and get back in the saddle, like I said, with Marcus Phillips and Tegan Coons on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's pitching staff Friday, Saturday, you're right. Games 2, games 3, get back on track. I'll say this. I think Kentucky's going to steal one. I don't know, man. Like, they're stingy enough. We're getting Bush League in the comments, by the way. Everybody that plays them, it seems like, reacts the same way. Hey, this is a Bush League club. Whatever. They do some things that you certainly could argue or they push the limits. They do, but they're able to steal baseball games that way. So I think they'll steal one, but I think Tennessee, and if Tennessee swept, wouldn't surprise me at all. But I feel pretty confident Tennessee is going to, at home, get this series victory. Harrison, you say the same. Jake McKeever says the same. All three of us.
Jeez, Jake.
With Tennessee. Yeah, we're just, again, we're agreeing on all fronts.
We just blame Jake for all the issues with the sweeps.
We should. Yeah, we'll put that on Jake McKeever.
Don't even let him be here to defend himself. Just blame him.
Yeah, just blame Jake. Harrison, let's go to Starkville. The dude, Mississippi State hosting the Florida Gators. This is a massive series for both sides. And this is actually one Friday through Sunday. I don't know why these two didn't get the memo, but they are Friday through Sunday. Harrison, when you look at the records, Florida's 4-11 in SEC play. Mississippi State is 5-10 in SEC play. We've said it over and over, and I don't know. Maybe you could argue the loser of this series, or maybe you could argue both these teams, I should say, are on the outside looking in when it comes to like postseason race. But the loser of this series, you feel like, is it too far to say that they're virtually out? They're not out. Like, who knows what could happen the last 3 weekends, but those chances, they start to go from slim to none, a lot closer to none if you drop this series, especially, listen, you're Mississippi State at home. They feel like this is a must win. And Florida, Harrison, the only series win they have is over Missouri, who we're going to talk about in a second. But, I think they want to go out and prove they can go beat somebody of at least decent competition. Gators, I loved what I saw from the bullpen last week, specifically against Mizzou. Mississippi State, they were really impressive in Tuscaloosa on the road, getting it done. Harrison, your thoughts on this series? Who comes out on top? Pivotal series for both sides.
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to go as far as say the loser of this series, especially if it's a sweep, is outside of the SEC tournament, winning that is pretty much done. Unless, they go to the championship from, the beginning of the bracket all the way to, win 4 or 5 games that gets them over the hump. But do remember how Florida finished their season last year and who's on the committee. Do remember who's on the committee. Just saying.
Remember.
Do remember who's the chair of the committee, even more so. But, I'd say Florida, I guess, technically has you could say a little bit of an edge, even though Mississippi State has, I'm saying from a resume standpoint, because Mississippi State has one more conference win than Florida does. They're sitting at 5-10 versus Florida's 4-11, but that's one game. But Florida's strength of schedule is 10th in the country. Mississippi State's is 33rd. RPIs are similar. Florida 30, Mississippi 37. So absolutely pivotal series, and a winnable series for both teams. But Mississippi State gets the luxury of playing in front of the dude, playing at the dude in front of the dudes, right? And so it's going to be a fun series to watch, and just whether it's an ugly kind of series win or, series loss, I think it might be, at least one of the games in the series will be scrappy in that sense. Both just have everything on the line, it feels like, right? But when you look at the stats, both teams have been, playing better baseball recently. And I'm not going to say early season, I was a little higher on Mississippi State, just than most people, but I still think they're super talented. I still think that they're a buy low situation here. And so, I'm going to buy a little bit more stock in them, Chris, because I think they take care of business at the dude. I do. I really do. I just think that the consistency that I've seen from them is a little bit higher than Florida. You're playing at home. I trust the pitching staff more. Pico Khan, I just no one seems to be able to get to him consistently. He's out pitched several elite guys in the SEC, and most notably Kyson Witherspoon, when they both absolutely dominated the opposing lineup. But I mean, they're just so neck and neck statistically. I mean, both are batting 300 and 299. Florida, we talked about last season how many home runs they've hit. 61 this year, Mississippi State 58. So they're all neck and neck in every stat. Feels like from OPS to WRC plus to ERAs kind of spreads it out a little bit there. But for the past 7 games, I mean, Mississippi State's been playing a better brand of baseball across all fronts. And I just think that, like I said, playing from the dude, backs against the wall for both teams, I think they find a way. I mean, because they've proven to be able to find a way outside of playing Missouri, And so for me, that's enough for me to rely on them and pick them to win this series in front of, some of the best fans in college baseball.
Harrison, we finally disagree. Finally, because I'm going with the Gators. I'm riding with Florida. Dude, and I know Florida fans are going to be upset, Harrison, because I picked against Florida one time in a series this season, and they swept. So what do I do?
I cannot believe, Chris, we got to take a minute. You picked Missouri in a series.
It was more of a principal pick than
this is why, Chris, I picked Missouri in the midweeks.
It was more of a principal pick. I had picked Florida every weekend, and they had lost every weekend. So I was like, you know what? Show me. Hey, Missouri, what's their slogan? The show me state. I was like, show me. Well, Mizzou showed me. More on them in a second. But I'm going with the Gators, man. I think Florida might have found, talking to them, I think they feel like they might have found something in their bullpen last weekend. At least some confidence in the pen, some guys stepping up. I don't know what it is. I have this gut feeling that Florida goes on the road, gets it done. You're right. The dude's going to be rocking. I mean, it will be a hard-earned, well-earned series victory if Florida can do it. But I think the Gators do, man. I think guys like Colby Shelton, Luke Heyman step up in that lineup. And Mississippi State has not been consistent this season. I wonder, how do they follow up, taking 2 of 3 in Tuscaloosa? Now they come home. I mean, the coin flip for me, I will not be surprised if the Dogs get it done. 2 desperate clubs, but I'm going to ride with Florida, man. Our guy Jake McKeever also going with Florida. So Harrison's on Mississippi State. Hey, Harrison a week later says, I should have picked the Dogs. I didn't. He says, I won't make that mistake twice.
Yeah, it gets seen that I feel like they should beat, but don't get me wrong. If Florida wins the series, it would not surprise me in the slightest. It would not. But I think you need guys like Blake Sear to step up. Yeah. I think Florida really does need guys like Blake Sear to step up. I mean, he's too talented to not be playing at a higher level than he is. We've seen him do it before. Yeah. He needs to do it again. I think the pitching staff needs to step up as well to, limit the offense. I think it's going to be the bullpen that really needs to step up for Florida more so than the pitching staff, because Aiden King, I mean, he's proven it this season, as young as he is, to be, I guess you could say he's Florida's best pitcher.
Yeah, he's a dude.
He's their best pitcher.
I mean, listen, to your point, Harrison, nothing will surprise anyone this weekend at Dudy Noble, because neither one of these teams have been consistent enough to really say, man, I feel really good about this. No matter who I would have picked, I wouldn't feel great about it either way. I'll be totally honest with you. Bro.
Really?
I wouldn't feel great about it either way, no matter who I picked. But I'm riding with Florida. But
I'll say, Chris, the one thing we do know is that next time I'm at the dude, I'm going to be welcomed with open arms. And you might not be.
I mean, we love that. And it's no hard feelings, but
hey,
State can earn a lot of goodwill this weekend. And again, both sides desperately need it. So
yeah, I mean, and for Mississippi State, you're going to need consistency to continue playing at a high level, like Ace Reese and Hunter Hines. Let alone Bryce Chance. I mean, I think a really good weekend for Bryce Chance is going to boost Mississippi State's offensive production and potential to win this series as a whole. But I mean, it's going to be a fun one to watch. And also, obviously, the pitching side outside of Pico Khan, it's going to be who steps up outside of Pico Khan. I haven't seen the rotation, yet, but. I mean, you need guys to step up. You need, Evan Sierra to step up. You need, Ben Davis to step up. You need guys like that. You need, Dane Burns to step up. I mean, guys like that, they're going to pitch in, situations when their number's called upon to come out and take care of business and do their job. So.
By the way, Harrison, before we move on, I do want to mention that I did not say this when we talked about it. The other Friday through Sunday series, Tennessee, Kentucky. So those are the two, Tennessee, Kentucky, State and Florida. Those are Friday through Sunday. The rest are Thursday through Saturday. Let's move on. The Missouri Tigers hosting the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma looking to build off that big series win last weekend against Vandy. Of course, Mizzou now sits, Harrison, 0-15 in SEC play. This might be the first SEC team ever to go 0-30. I mean, really, truly.
Chris, I'm getting worried about my under.
Yeah, the over-under 3 and heck, what you had it at the 4.5.
I had it under 4.5, but
right, and I had 3.5 under.
I'm still worried about even hitting 3.
Again, Oklahoma is going to go in here looking to build momentum. Obviously, Kyson Witherspoon, who was battling back spasms reportedly last week, all he did was spin a gem in Game 2 of their series against Vandy. Just typical Kyson Witherspoon. And yeah, again, the race to a defeated season. I mean, Mizzou might be the worst team. This might be the worst team in SEC baseball history. Harrison, no surprise here. I'm going Oklahoma. I would expect them to sweep. I think they probably feel like it was a bad weekend if they didn't. Your thoughts on this series in Como?
I think it's a weekend that Oklahoma can't sleep on because weird things happen in Como. We've seen it last season. We've seen it this season too.
It's a weird place to play. It's
a weird place to play. I mean, hey, I'll tell
you
what.
It's a weird place to play because it'll lull you to sleep. I mean, nobody's going to be there.
Yeah,
I mean, dude,
Oklahoma fans stadium will not be rocking.
Hey, Oklahoma fans might take that ballpark over.
I mean, it's not a huge ballpark by any means either.
And it's not a terrible drive, I think, for them either. So,
yeah, I mean, your favorite place to play, your favorite stadium, Phi Delta Theta Stadium, will not be rocking unless it's the Boomer Sooner that's there. But I think it's a weekend that they can't take for granted because this is a weekend, sharpen the knives in the tool shed, right? Sharpen the tools, get all the spring, summer, accessories, the lawn care, get them out, get them going, get them opportunities. Guys that haven't pitched much, in the season that you're going to need down the stretch, or guys that haven't pitched as much as you'd like them to, right? And even more so, I think it's a great opportunity for the offense to get back on track. I mean, they're batting 241 as a team. Oklahoma is. That's 248th ranked in the country the last 7 games. I mean, OPS is 233rd in the country at a 723. That's bad. That's bad, and it's the pitching staff's been great, 50th in the country in ERA, but you think about offense production as a whole this season. I mean, Oklahoma is not that great. I mean, they're 283 as a season. It's 120th in the country, 40 home runs. Missouri has 39 home runs. I mean, you don't want to be anywhere near a stat like that Missouri's near. I don't think it matters what it is. But, I mean, it's just going to be, I think, maybe Missouri steals one. I honestly would not be surprised if Missouri steals one.
Bold pick. That's a bold pick right there.
I promise you it won't
be. Based off what we've seen, that's a bold pick.
It won't be against Kaiser Weatherspoon, I promise you that. But,
no.
I mean,
he's going to eat.
You need the pitching staff for Oklahoma to, really sharpen the tools. On the starting pitching side, they've had struggles on the starting end, let alone the bullpen. But you got to get the offense going, rejuvenate everything, as close to a bye week as you're going to get, but don't take it for granted. I got the Sooners rolling in. I think more fans rolling than Missouri fans. So I think they win in all fronts in that, and look for a sweep and hopefully get the sweep if you're a Sooner fan for sure.
Don't take
Phi Delta Theta Stadium.
He said, don't take it lightly, but it's as close to a bye week as you'll get.
Got to cover all the ground.
I love that. Shocker. Our guy, Jake McKeever, also going Oklahoma. Again, at this point, I'd say this too, Harrison, at this point, especially if you get swept this weekend like Mizzou, just go 0-30. At least that's a memorable season.
I saw you talk about that. I know.
What medal are you going to get if you go 2-28? At least be hey, when we were bad, we were historically bad. We did something nobody else will ever do. Let's go 0-30.
Or the history books for the worst reason.
Oh, for sure, but at least you're in the history books, right? I don't know. Finally, Harrison, let's go to Columbia, South Carolina. The South Carolina Gamecocks hosting the Ole Miss Rebels. Carolina looking to bounce back from a gut-wrenching weekend in College Station, including that final game where they gave up 2 grand slams in the 9th inning to lose that game and get swept. Ole Miss obviously looking to bounce back themselves. Really emotional series at home against Tennessee where Liam Doyle, Andrew Fisher came back and got their revenge. It's kind of weird. That was sort of I don't know, whatever. That's a different conversation. Anyways, they got the better of their former team. We'll call it that way. It is spring game weekend in Columbia, Harrison, so I'm kind of interested to see maybe if that impacts the atmosphere in a positive way, because as far as I can tell, that fan base in Columbia is pretty much checked out on South Carolina baseball. And, I mean, I don't blame them sitting at 2-13 in conference play. Your thoughts on the weekend? This one is one that kind of I would almost go as far as to put Ole Miss on upset alert, but then again, the Gamecocks have they've been so bad. The pitching staff's one of the worst in the conference. The hitting, the lineup is not consistent. Your thoughts on the weekend, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and who you're picking?
Yeah, South Carolina's offensive production reminds me a lot of Oklahoma and Missouri's. And I know Oklahoma fans don't like to hear that, but ERA, or average wise, home run wise, it's very neck and neck. Offensive production wise, OPS, WRC plus. They're at 42 home runs, which is like one more than Oklahoma and three more than Missouri. But just the inconsistencies they've had across the board, it feels like in the last 7 games. I mean, they're pushing 300 ranked in the country, Chris. And how many D1 baseball teams are there in the country? Just over 300.
Yeah.
So average, they're batting 227 as a team the last 7 games. OPS pushing 200th ranked. They're 768. It's just the pitching staff's got a 9.22 ERA the last 7 games, Chris. That is 279th ranked in the country. And I talk a lot. I'll say it. I talk a lot about, playing on the road in the SEC. This is not a place where you feel worried or concerned about an environment or a team that's playing it well at home in South Carolina, because they aren't. And Ole Miss should go in there and take care of business, especially after losing to Arkansas Little Rock. And I think the frontline power they have in Riley Maddox and Hunter Elliott, for the most part, have been overwhelmingly consistent all season long in the offensive production that they've proven they've had this season. I think it's too much for South Carolina to handle. And maybe South Carolina steals a low scoring game. I just don't see them out slugging Ole Miss at all. And I don't think they have the firepower in the offense to keep up with them, but I don't think they have the arms and the arsenals and the depth of a bullpen to keep up with them on that side as well on the mound. So I'm rolling with Hotty Toddy in Columbia. Interesting, like you said, to see the fan base and how the ballpark looks and shapes, but it's going to be playing like a big ballpark for sure.
Yeah, give me Hotty Toddy as well, Harrison. I agree with you. I think, simply put, I just don't think South Carolina has enough SEC dudes to keep up with a team like Ole Miss, who I think is a really quality ball club. Good chance they are, I say good chance, on the track to be hosting potentially this postseason. Losing a series to Tennessee at home does not distract us from the fact that, they were top 10 going into that weekend. I don't think South Carolina, they don't do much of anything well. I mean, Ethan Petrie's a really good player, but, and I think Ole Miss's lineup, the Federicos of the world, the Udemarks.
Yeah, the young guy he is. I mean.
Yeah, Federico's a stud. So they've got more than the Gamecocks, more firepower on the mound and in the box. I think that'll show. Again, I won't be surprised if South Carolina steals a game. They just at times, will play a little bit above their talent level, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a sad situation in Columbia, Harrison, with the pulmonary thing, and I won't be surprised if that's a one and done thing. Like I don't see where the hope comes from in that program that it's going to get better in the near future. Either way, Ole Miss, they get it done this weekend. I don't think, like you said, when South Carolina's good, Founders Park is a raucous place to play. When they're 2-13 in conference play, well, I mean, I don't think you're going to – there might be as many Ole Miss fans there as there's going to be South Carolina fans. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of –
That's a long drive, Chris.
Still, I just don't think there's going to be much of a crowd there, to be honest. And especially Friday night. I think people are going to be getting over to the spring game and what have you. And, I doubt stopping by Founders Park is going to be much of a priority. They'd probably rather just go tailgate the spring game. So, give me Ole Miss. You're going Ole Miss. Jake McKeever also going with Hotty Toddy. So we had one series of the 8 where anybody disagreed with anybody. Jake and I going with the exact same picks. And I'll say this on the picks, Harrison. That wasn't the intent. I hate to say this weekend sort of feels obvious, but a lot of these matchups feel – I don't know. That's how they feel, which scares me because it's never that obvious on the diamond in this conference.
Well, speaking of which, Chris, let's do a little exercise for the group, for the class. Which of your picks are you most confident about, and which of your picks scares you the most?
Scares me the most, Florida beating State on the road. That one scares me the most. The one I'm most confident, I'd probably go. Well, I mean, Oklahoma at Mizzou. But outside of that one,
Outside of that, yeah.
LSU, Bama, I think LSU to me I think 100% is going to bounce back at home and win that series. I 100%.
I'd say for me, most confident pick I have, I got to say Georgia and Nashville.
See, I'm
I do.
surprised you went on a road team. That's the only reason I didn't go Georgia.
Actually, I'm going to switch that. Ole Miss on the road. I'll take a road team, so Ole Miss on the road. But outside of that, Georgia right behind them. But one I'm most worried about the most, I'll give you two. I think Auburn, Texas can be really tight. I really do. I'm interested to see that one. But Mississippi State, Florida as well. I just think because both teams back against the wall, either team can win it, like can do something to win the series. Either team can do something to lose the series. But Texas Auburn is just going to focus, I think, for everyone this week. But I think for me, that one, I mean, if Sam Dutton gives you a gym in game one and they win game one, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win another one, but they're going to have to be able to do it if, they save some bullpen in game one. But I'm going to be locked on that one for sure. But I think Ole Miss on the road is my most confident pick, surprisingly, a road team. And then, we'll see. I mean, because anyone can be anyone in the SEC. We've seen it. I mean, everyone in the nation, Chris, you can't tell me otherwise. And if you say I'm going to tell you you're lying or I don't believe you, everyone had Tennessee sweeping, if not, or had it at minimum, had Tennessee beating A&M in the series. And most people had them sweeping. So look how that turned out.
Yeah.
And that's after they got no hit shutout in game one.
Yeah. I mean, expect the unexpected when it comes to college baseball.
I'll take the Zag this week when everyone zigs and go with the dude, baby. Looking forward to it.
Guys, again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, Harrison, let's take some questions, some comments here from the fine folks tuned in on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. Gig and Bart, I'm loving the unanimous pick against the Ags. Yes, it's worked out well for A&M to this point. We did go with A&M last weekend, obviously, but this being a little bit different of a beast. I mean, everybody's doubting.
Hey, speaking of Gig and Bart, give him a little twofer.
He was on time. Give him credit. I like this one, Thomas Anderson. If Mizzou goes into the last series of the year versus Mississippi State, then they got to just get swept on purpose. 0-3 is much better than 1-29. I would agree with you.
No.
Yeah, you do it. Hey, listen, make history, baby. Make history. But I will say, and this won't happen. Maybe it's an over-exaggeration, but Harrison, there should be a rule. If you go 0-30 in conference play, you're kicked out of the league. I'm sorry, dude. You're kicked out.
Relegation, Chris. Relegation.
I mean, dude, come.
What team do you bring in the league then? What team you have to?
I don't know. Georgia Tech would be a cool ad.
Okay. I was thinking
Clemson feels like an SEC club too.
Well, I was thinking, I know they're struggling, but maybe Oklahoma State because you already have Oklahoma in.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, or maybe like a TCU.
I don't know. That's. We could spend an entire show debating that.
But hey, I'm going to give some props here to Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, entire show. Entire show. How about it?
No issues. And Chinook's not even here to defend
Who knew a road game would solve all those problems?
A road game for Chris would solve the problem.
Thomas Anderson. Shout out to Lee Corso, true American treasure. Happy he's doing one more game. I would say it's 99% going to be Texas at Ohio State, which is the perfect game to end with. Yes, shout out to Lee Corso. Announced his last game will be week 1 of the 2025 college football season, or last college game day, if you will. Shout out to Lee Corso, man, a true legend. By the way, I do want to highlight this, Harrison. We've gotten a few comments. We did not talk A.J. Russell. A.J. Russell will be a key factor for Tennessee this weekend.
I think he stays in the bullpen. They're not going to put him in start.
Yeah, I think for now, for sure. But don't be surprised as we get further. Maybe A.J. Russell does slide in that starting spot.
Yeah. Well, I say that, I didn't mention it more so because I think the focus is more on Tegan Kuntz and just bouncing back on Sunday. Then we know what we're going to get with A.J. Russell when he's back, fully.
Yeah. My guy, Johnny Leto, want to shout out Johnny. Yes, we will have timestamps, by the way, on this show if you missed it, chapters, so you can jump directly to what you want to hear. We will have those. Johnny, I appreciate you, my man, tuning in. Really, really good stuff. Eric, what's up? Down in the Bayou. Big weekend on the Bayou. Huge weekend.
Hey, another one. Jake has picked against the Aggies, I think, every series outside the first two.
He loves to fade the Yags, man.
Hey, I guess you could say it worked the first half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he loves
Jake
to
and Bart,
fade
we
the
love when
Yags.
Jake picks against us.
Yeah. Hey, listen, all three of us going with Arkansas, so it's always a good
shout
sign.
Shout out Evan Rumsey, best college show.
Thank you, Evan. Appreciate it, dude. We're having a blast doing this.
Y'all
man.
are
Always
what
a good
makes the
time.
show great. Just from Friday Night Spikes to previews to recaps, the comments, the interactions, we love it. We're super here for it, and it's only growing the game.
Yeah, let me go to this. BW Pro 614 $1.99 super chat. Thank you. Love Auburn, Texas.
That's it.
We don't rely on the home run like Georgia.
Hey, Georgia proved they can win all different ways. They don't have to smack the ball around. They don't have to feed the trees as much. Those trees are full, Chris. I mean, I don't know. If Georgia continues to prove they can win different ways, it's going to be a dangerous team to play. But Auburn has proved that, they're not going to rely on the home run ball, even though they, are now playing at a pitcher-friendly ballpark this weekend. So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, excited for that one, man. It's going to be a blast. Gig'em Bart mentions Friday Night Spikes is going to be electric. Yes, it is, because 6 of the 8 series game 2s will be in the books, not just game 1s. So
yeah, that'll be the first time we've done that, really.
Zach, next SECU tour stop. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Auburn's
about to find out if Texas, it just means even more. LOL. Hunter Robin. We'll see. We'll see. They can make a big statement this weekend, Chris. If Auburn goes on the road here and wins a series, do you feel like you're a lock to host a regional?
I would say so, yeah.
I mean,
you feel pretty darn confident. You feel pretty darn confident.
Maybe flirt with the Super. We'll see. But David Speaks.
Yeah,
party, but never misses an appearance. Georgia Tech's got the Canes this weekend.
Yeah, here's another one.
Yep.
Calling for the sweep. Tech and Canes.
You guys know I don't like calling sweeps, but I think Georgia Tech, bad taste in their mouth after losing at Truist Park to Georgia. I think they definitely take care of business. I think they go in there with a chance to sweep. Who knows? But definitely take care of business down in Coral Gables against a team that's just inconsistent in Miami. But funny enough, I mean, Georgia Tech, they got a great rest of the season slate. So look for them to hopefully lock in a regional host in Danny Hall's last year and make a run back to Omaha to get him there one more time.
There's your ACC baseball chatter to meet our quota for the show. So
anyway,
Harrison, you're the man. Great to have you back. I really appreciate you doing this. Obviously,
good to be back.
The show is better with you in it, man. So really, really glad you're back.
It felt weird being gone, but hopefully, I mean, I'll have to hear about the comments in the chat and also on Twitter if Jake fulfilled the bullpen duties last weekend.
He was the Dylan Volantis to our show. He was. He did a solid job.
I'm about halfway through the show watching it back myself, so I'll have to keep watching. But that's a big statement to make, especially for a guy that plays in Texas.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd take that as a
and the Aggie homer.
I'm sure he'd take that as a compliment. I'm sure he would.
He should, but I mean, I'm gonna hold him to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold him to that.
Yeah, the Volantis of the windup. Anyways, guys, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Of course, Friday Night Spikes tomorrow night. Make sure you stay tuned for start times, all that good stuff. But it's going to be electric with, again, 6 of the 8 series having game 2 in the book. So we're probably going to have a few series decided by tomorrow night. Going to be a lot of fun, going to be electric. We'll let you know who's on that, when it's happening, but can't wait. Anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Harrison Fant, I'm Chris Phillips. This is The Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show and the best college baseball show.
See you on Friday Night Spikes
on the internet. Y'all take care. Appreciate you all tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night on Friday Night Spikes.